Chongqing skyscraper fall. On November 8, 2017, 26-year-old Wu Yongning climbed to the roof of the Huayuan Hua Center in Chongqing, China. The professional rooftopper and influencer had built a following by documenting dangerous stunts on some of the country's tallest buildings. His girlfriend and sponsors waited at street level, expecting another successful video for his growing social media audience. Wu positioned himself on the edge of the 62-story building and began a pull-up stunt. He had performed similar moves dozens of times before, but this time his grip failed. Security footage captured the moment he lost his hold and disappeared over the edge. His girlfriend grew concerned as hours passed without contact. Security personnel discovered Wu's body on a lower terrace at 2:15 p.m. He had fallen hundreds of feet. The video of his final moments, recovered from his camera, spread rapidly across Chinese social media. His death sparked national outrage about the dangers of internet stunts and the pressure influencers faced to create increasingly risky content. Authorities later cited the incident in new guidelines discouraging rooftoping content. Kiev hotel disaster. On June 26, 2019, 15-year-old Bogdan and two friends accessed the rooftop of the premier hotel Libid in Kiev, Ukraine, at 4:30 p.m. The local student and parkour enthusiast planned to record a running leap between the hotel's towers for his Instagram followers. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the concrete surface as the trio set up their phones to capture multiple angles. Bogdan backed up to get a running start for the jump. As he sprinted toward the gap, his foot hit loose gravel scattered across the rooftop. He lost his balance mid-stride and tumbled over the edge. Multiple witnesses in the street below saw him fall 13 stories. The impact was instant and fatal. His friends screamed for help as bystanders rushed to the scene. Emergency services arrived within minutes, but paramedics pronounced Bogdan dead at the location. The graphic cell phone footage, which his friends had been recording, circulated online despite efforts to remove it. The tragedy prompted Kyiv officials to implement a citywide crackdown on rooftop access, with building owners facing fines for inadequate security. Parisian train track. On July 14, 2021, 18-year-old Maxime Declercq and three peers entered the maintenance area of Saint-Lazare railway station in Paris at 10:05 p.m. The aspiring traceur and YouTuber wanted to film night parkour footage in the restricted rail yard. The group had scouted the location earlier and believed they could navigate the tracks safely between scheduled trains. Maxime attempted a rail-to-ledge jump as his friends recorded. His foot slipped on the metal surface, and he fell into the gap between platforms. He landed directly on the electrified third rail. Before his companions could react, a passing maintenance car struck him. The others fled in panic. A passerby heard the commotion and called emergency services at 10:13 p.m. Responders arrived to find Maxime's body on the tracks. Police launched an investigation into what they called train yard parkour, a dangerous trend among young social media content creators. The incident sparked intense debate in France about the influence of vlogging culture on youth risk-taking behavior. Railway officials installed additional security measures and warning systems. Casablanca apartment vault. On March 31, 2018, 21-year-old Rachid El Barkani attended a party at the Résidence des Palmiers in Casablanca, Morocco. The university athlete and his friends gathered on a fourth-floor balcony shortly after 7 p.m. As the celebration continued, Rachid decided to impress the group by vaulting between adjacent balconies, a move he claimed to have practiced before. The concrete surface was wet from earlier rain, but Rachid dismissed concerns from friends. He positioned himself at the edge and leaped toward the neighboring balcony. His hands caught the railing momentarily, but the wet surface provided no grip. He hung suspended for several seconds as partygoers screamed. Then his fingers slipped, and he fell to the courtyard below. An off-duty nurse at the party rushed downstairs and attempted CPR while neighbors called for help. Emergency responders arrived quickly and transported Rachid to Ibn Rocht Hospital, but he was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Witnesses provided detailed statements to investigators. The incident led Moroccan authorities to implement new residential building safety regulations, including mandatory height barriers on balconies and restricted access to rooftop areas. Moscow Mall leap. On August 4, 2022, 23-year-old Anton Chernov and his parkour students entered the Metropolis Shopping Center in Moscow after closing time at 6:10 p.m. The parkour instructor had arranged the after-hours session to film a new trick involving leaps between the mall's multi-level atriums. The group believed the empty building provided a safe, controlled environment for the dangerous maneuver. Anton prepared for the jump as his students positioned cameras. He sprinted toward the gap and launched himself across the open space. His trajectory fell short, and he crashed through a glass safety barrier. The shattered glass barely slowed his fall as he plummeted 3 floors to the ground level. Security camera footage captured every moment of the failed attempt. Mall employees working late heard the crash and immediately called emergency services. Paramedics transported Anton to Botkin Hospital, where doctors worked frantically to save him. He died from massive internal injuries within hours. The surveillance video became key evidence in the investigation. The tragedy fueled a heated national debate in Russia about parkour regulation and liability. Shopping centers across Moscow implemented stricter security protocols to prevent similar incidents. Cape Town rooftop. On May 12, 2019, 18-year-old Sipo Kumalo and friends accessed the rooftop of Canal Walk Center in Cape Town, South Africa, at approximately 5:45 p.m. The recent high school graduate wanted to film a rooftop-to-rooftop dash after security had closed the property for the day. His fellow tracers set up their cell phones to capture the run from multiple angles. Sifo positioned himself for the sprint. As he accelerated toward the edge, his foot caught on a loose wire running across the roof. He stumbled, and his momentum carried him over the side. The cell phone footage showed him falling 10 meters to the pavement below. His friends immediately alerted mall security, who called paramedics. Emergency services rushed Sifo to Groote Schuur Hospital, but he was declared dead from traumatic injuries. The graphic cell phone evidence shocked the community and spread rapidly on social media, despite family requests to stop sharing it. Parents across Cape Town organized protests demanding better security at public venues. Mall management faced intense scrutiny over access controls. Officials launched new youth engagement programs focused on safe recreational alternatives and the dangers of urban exploration. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I post content like this regularly. I'd appreciate if you subscribed. Bristol Car Park. On September 8, 2020, 17-year-old Jamie Reynolds and 2 friends climbed a service stairwell at Cabot Circus Car Park in Bristol, United Kingdom, shortly before 8 p.m. The college student had been practicing parkour for less than a year, but felt confident attempting increasingly difficult jumps. The group planned to leap between floors of the multi-story structure. Jamie studied the gap between his position and the next floor level. He backed up, sprinted forward, and launched himself into the air. His jump fell drastically short of the target. He plummeted 4 stories through the open center of the stairwell. Security staff conducting rounds found him at 8:12 p.m. and immediately called emergency services. Paramedics arrived within minutes and transported Jamie to Southmead Hospital. Doctors pronounced him dead from catastrophic trauma shortly after arrival. Police interviewed his friends and reviewed security footage as part of their investigation. The incident prompted Bristol officials to implement new CCTV systems and roof access restrictions at car parks throughout the city. Jamie's death became a focal point in local discussions about preventing similar tragedies among young thrill seekers. Calgary construction site. On July 23, 2023, 19-year-old Carter White entered the Brookfield Place construction site in Calgary, Canada at 12:19 a.m. The construction apprentice and his friends had decided to try night parkour at the partially completed building. CCTV cameras captured the group bypassing security fencing and climbing to an upper level of exposed beams and platforms. Carter positioned himself for what he called a 15-foot beam jump. His friends encouraged him as he prepared. He ran along the narrow beam and leaped toward the opposite platform. His trajectory was off, and he missed the landing entirely. Carter fell through multiple levels of scaffolding and temporary platforms, striking metal framework repeatedly on his way down. Site security conducting a patrol discovered Carter's body at 12:27 a.m. They immediately called emergency services and attempted to provide aid. Despite rapid transfer to Foothills Medical Center, Carter succumbed to his injuries. The investigation revealed multiple security failures that allowed unauthorized nighttime access. Construction companies across Calgary faced new requirements for site security. Worker unions and property owners debated liability issues related to trespassing thrill seekers on active job sites. Tbilisi Bridge Dare. On July 25, 2018, 17-year-old Giga Mechedlishvili stood on the Bridge of Peace in Tbilisi, Georgia, around 5:53 p.m. The secondary student had been dared by friends to vault the distinctive arch of the pedestrian bridge as local tourists watched from below. The modern glass and steel structure rose high above the river, creating a dramatic backdrop for the attempted stunt. Giga climbed onto a metal beam forming part of the bridge's architectural design. He attempted to vault from one section to another, showing off for the crowd that had gathered. His foot slipped on the smooth metal surface, and he lost his balance. Bystanders screamed as Giga plunged from the bridge into the river below. Multiple witnesses immediately called 112, Georgia's emergency number. Rescue crews arrived at the scene and began searching the water. They retrieved Giga's body at 6:34 p.m. The viral video of the incident, captured by several tourists, sparked outrage among Georgian officials. The tragedy became the catalyst for a prevention campaign targeting youth urban exploits on city landmarks. Authorities installed additional safety barriers and increased patrols at popular tourist sites where similar stunts had occurred. Istanbul warehouse jump. On February 2, 2019, 22-year-old Koray Sener and a friend explored an abandoned warehouse in the Beyoğlu district of Istanbul, Turkey. The engineering student had been practicing parkour for several years and frequently sought out challenging urban locations. The decaying building offered multiple levels and obstacles that appealed to experienced traceurs. Koray identified a gap jump over a collapsed section of flooring that he wanted to attempt. His friend positioned himself to record the stunt on video. Koray backed up to gain momentum, then sprinted toward the gap. He launched himself into the air but misjudged the distance completely. He fell through the opening and crashed onto debris-covered concrete below. His friend immediately called 112 at 4:16 p.m. Emergency services navigated through the unstable building to reach Koray. Paramedics transported him to Ok Meydanı Training and Research Hospital, where he died from his injuries. The video evidence became central to the investigation. The Istanbul community launched a safety-focused parkour initiative in response to the tragedy. City officials also strengthened enforcement of trespassing laws at abandoned properties, citing the increasing dangers of urban exploration among young people. Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, subscribing would really help. See you next time.